I'm Vin.
I'm Sori.
That's...
Harry.
Didn't we get the bulb for Salty?
Yeah, well, I wasn't
What
going
ended
to
up
be
happening
dealing
to
with
him?
that when I was as sick as I was last night. Forget about that.
Likely story.
You're welcome to take care of that anytime you want.
Likely
I am
story.
happy and satisfied with Harry.
Likely story. Merciful Fate. Okay, so we did King Diamond, and I guess the vocalist for King Diamond is also the vocalist for Merciful Fate.
Oh, okay.
And I also guess that I'm trying to find. I'm on a quest to find what the roots are of black metal. So we did Bathory a couple days ago, and so I think this band is like one of the like influential bands for black metal. I heard. So
Okay.
so it's what is it? This is Merciful Fate. The song is called The Oath. And so, like, we're going down and down into the rabbit hole of black metal because I'm trying to figure out, you know,
Right.
I'm trying to put pieces all
Back to
together.
the roots.
The roots! Bloody roots!
All right, ready?
No, I'm not. Don't have my headphones. Okay. My Red Bull?
Okay. Go.
All right. Go! Okay. Spooky as hell. Turn it up a little bit. Spooky as hell, man.
What?
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, there you are.
That took a surprising turn. What'd you think of it?
Well, the musicianship is top notch.
Unbelievable. I loved the musicianship.
These guys are.
When they make that guitar whine like that.
Then there was a solo, and in the middle of the solo, there was that little bass thing. And then.
Yeah.
Then the bass. I'm like, shit.
Yeah. This one would be cool to
Badass.
even hear as just as an instrumental.
Yes. Even better.
Okay. All right. Like let's just jump right in. Okay. First of all, when it started and it had like all that creepy, scary sound to it, like we were about to enter some haunted house or something.
Yeah.
Actually, or some like
chapel.
Yes, I was gonna say some satanic church of like the stereotype. I don't know what a satanistic church or a satanic church looks like, or even has a feel. But that's kind of what you like picture.
Yeah.
And then like all of a sudden like they went into those. Is it Rob Halford vocals? Is that what we call them?
Yeah, that's what we'll call
Oh
them.
my gosh, I can't believe I like remembered it. This is a
right.
step in the right direction for me.
Baby
Anyway,
brain.
so I don't know if I have to be in a certain mood for that because like today I'm not in the mood for it. And so I was like, who told you that was a good idea? That's all I kept thinking.
Yeah.
Now, the vocals that he did in between, like he would do, but then he would like do the other vocals in between, I liked those.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I liked those because the other vocals were there and then...
Well, I had an expectation that there was going to be some death vocals because
That's
everybody
what
kept
I
saying
thought.
that these guys are the guys that started, the other thing. But on the other hand,
I felt like somebody slapped me in the face.
when we
'cause
did
I
the
was
King
expecting
Diamond song, he was high.
Yeah.
So
So maybe that's what he does.
I want to hear actually another copy of this song because I don't know if it's
What?
just the particular, because I had a very, very difficult time deciphering what he was saying.
Yeah,
So
I did too.
Maybe we got a bad copy and
Yeah.
we need to listen to something else. So we're gonna pause it for a second to see.
We'll be back.
We shall return.
Oh, we're back.
Okay. We had a different copy, but you won't even experience a difference because the copy that you hear will be the one that we decided.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Did you notice that there was parts where his vocals matched the guitar so much that you were like, whoa,
Yes.
what am I hearing? Am I hearing him or the guitar?
Yeah. I thought that was amazing.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty unique.
My favorite parts, it wasn't vocally. Yeah, I guess I'm just used to Behemoth or Cradle. Like when somebody's like explicitly talking about the devil,
Yeah,
they have a
that it's-
badass voice. Conversely, though, we just
Yeah.
listen to Ghost,
True.
and so it, you know.
Yeah.
Although this guy sounds evil, even when he's singing high vocals, and Ghost doesn't sound evil at all, vocally anyway.
Right.
So, yeah, I wasn't really a fan of the vocals, but the musicianship, this is kind of like the Bathory thing. Like, I wasn't, the musicianship was like generic to me, but the vocals were insane.
Yeah, I liked.
And of course, I love
You're saying you're flipping it.
I love the lyrics. Whereas this one, the vocals were okay. They were okay to me, but the lyrics and the musicianship was insane.
Yeah.
So, you know,
I
it's
agree.
kind of one of those
Yep.
things.
And I didn't all around hate the lyrics. I mean, the vocals. I liked when he did those other voices.
Right.
And
right.
then the high stuff, I liked a little bit because I think it made me like the other stuff. So it wasn't like... I wasn't annoyed like when I first heard Rob Halford.
Right.
I was like annoyed. I was like, this is...
But see,
this-
when we go to now when we listen to a Halford song, we know what we're going to get, and we want it.
Yeah.
Whereas this one, I didn't know that he was going
No,
there.
not at all.
All right. Here we go.
I think I would have liked it better if it was death vocals.
Oh, I agree.
To go from that like the
I
beginning
agree.
and then go
I
into
agree.
death vocals.
I agree.
I would have liked that a lot.
I agree for sure. Yeah, I agree for certain. Shout out to my big homie, the Curse Agnostic. I'm going to get back to you, my guy. I think me, Sori, you, and Dan are probably going to have like a video meetup with us. We can talk about the resurrection, but that's completely irrelevant to this song. Okay, by the symbol of the Creator, I swear. Okay, so the song is called The Oath. Mm-hmm. And I guess the guy at the beginning is taking the oath, right?
Yeah, it sounds that way. Yeah.
I swear henceforth to be a faithful servant to his most puissant archangel, the Prince Lucifer, whom the Creator designated as his regent and Lord of this world. Amen.
Yep. What?
Well, there's so many combinations, from a Christian perspective, there's so many combinations of truth and untruth here. And I don't know what he means by the symbol of the Creator. Was that a circle?
Oh.
Or is he crossing himself? I don't know what that means. So,
I don't know. Yeah,
Merciful Fate fans, tell me what that means. This song and the Ghost song are both very interesting to me because in both instances the person is putting themselves beneath the auspices of Satan.
Yep.
Like Satan, he explicitly calls Satan Lord.
Yep.
But then he says that he and Satan are created beings. He refers to God as the Creator. I just, in Romans where it says...
Well, what?
Go ahead.
I think it's interesting because he says the Prince Lucifer, whom the Creator designated as regent. So he's basically, it almost sounds like he's saying, well, you're above, but because the Creator put you in this position.
Above what?
Well, above himself.
Above me, yeah. But then
and the reason that you're above is because the Creator made you
put
regent
you in that
over
position.
the world. Yeah. So then it's like giving to the Creator.
Yeah, there's that thing in Romans 1. They God gave them over to a darkened mind because they would rather worship the creation rather than the Creator.
Who is blessed forever.
Who's God blessed forever, amen. Right, blessed means happy. Mm-hmm. I bet you didn't know that. God's happy forever. And then he says the Prince Lucifer. So if there's a prince, there's a king. So it's like, why would you put yourself on the team of the? It's not a mocking question. It's a serious question. Like, why would you align yourself with a person who's clearly inferior, ontologically speaking? I don't understand that. Doesn't make sense to me.
Well, yeah, I don't know. Maybe the second verse, I deny Jesus Christ the deceiver.
Well, how is he a deceiver?
I don't know.
You just said that.
I don't know how he's a deceiver.
Well, of course, the term "I deny Jesus Christ" is.
I've literally never heard that anybody say that Jesus was a deceiver.
The Pharisees called Jesus a deceiver. They use that exact terminology. When they went to Pilate, they said that deceiver said that he would rise on the third day, so we need to set up a guard by his tomb. And they used the term deceiver. So there you are.
Modern day? Have you heard anybody saying that?
No. Modern day, most people are it's pretty, because we're post-Christian, but we're not that post-Christian. So most people, don't say negative things explicitly like that about Jesus most of the time. Mm-hmm. Aaron Ra, in our discussion, he had a problem with Jesus, but he was obviously. I mean, the video speaks for itself. Okay, but of course, who the Creator designated as his regent. Well, that's true and untrue. Because Adam and Eve were originally the regents over this world. Mm-hmm. That's what it means to be in the image of God.
Right.
When God says, let's create man in our own image and let them rule, mm-hmm. have dominion. It's the Hebrew word to rule over. Mm-hmm. So God made Adam and Eve his regents. And then when Adam and Eve fell, and then you go to Genesis, it's 11. And then you combine that with the Septuagint version of Deuteronomy 32. I know I'm speaking a bunch of kabuki here, but basically, long story short, after Adam and Eve fell, mm-hmm. and then in the Tower of Babel, after the Tower of Babel happened and the nations were dispersed, mm-hmm. it says, when the Most High divided the nations, he divided them according to the number of the sons of God.
Yep.
And that basically means that God set, these powerful demonic rulers over the nations as they left, but yep. he kept one small nation to himself. Mm-hmm. So Satan became the de facto ruler of the world because so you had all these, mini demigods almost ruling people, and then above them was yep. Satan. So Satan became the region of the world because of human sinfulness. We actually gave that up to him. Mm-hmm. Because we actually fell from our place. That's why theologians call it the fall, because we were kind of the rulers of the world. We were the rulers of the world. We were God's vice regents. God was to rule in heaven, we were to rule on earth, and because of our sin, we surrendered that to Satan and his demons.
It's interesting because you would think that would have happened in the garden, like when they listened to Satan in the garden.
Right.
But he didn't do it then. He sent them out of the garden, but they still had that
right.
same thing. But it wasn't until the Tower of Babel. Why? Did you just answer that and I missed it?
Why what?
Why with the Tower of Babel? Why was that the big one where he started dividing it up now?
That's when human beings were divided into nations.
So then he put those rulers over it?
Yeah, basically God says,
really
God basically says, I've been working with you since the garden. We had the flood, still didn't learn the lesson. I'm not going to flood the world again. Mm-hmm. You guys want to do your own thing. Okay, live under them and let me know how that goes.
Okay.
And then if you look at ancient Near Eastern Canaanite religion, you can see how it went. It was horrible.
I gotta get mince. My stomach's upset. So.
Yeah, so it's like, go for it. See how it turns out for you. But what's interesting here is that what they did in Genesis 11 is pretty similar.
But why put the bad angels in charge of all the other nations? Why not divide them up between the good angels?
Well, the good angels don't want to rule people. They just want to worship God. So it was one of those things where it's like the bad angels wanted to rule over people, and the people didn't want God to rule over them. So God's like, you two deserve each other. Go for it.
Why does somebody have to be in charge? What if he wouldn't have said, all right, you're in charge of this one, you're in charge of that one? What would have happened then?
What do you mean?
Let's say he didn't divide them up and gave a nation to each one of those demons. Then what would have happened?
Well, God always designed it so that there would be a spiritual power behind the physical power on the earth. So that was the original design. So he was going to be the spiritual power,
yeah.
And then Adam and Eve were going to be the physical power on the earth. And they were going to work together. That was God's design and creation.
Uh-huh.
So he's just following the same template. He's saying, okay, you don't want me to be the spiritual power? Sure. There's a whole bunch of other people that want to help you rule the world and without me. So you two go for it. So he matches people. He basically matched them up with the deity that they wanted to follow. Because if you look here, you can kind of see the same attitude.
Yeah.
Because this guy's not saying, and it's interesting because he a lot of like black metal or a lot of them are pay a lot of homage to Lucifer or demons or whatever. And I very rarely hear anybody say, "Fuck Lucifer! I want to rule myself." Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Anytime the devil or anytime spiritual darkness is acknowledged, you always hear people wanting to come under it and be under its authority. So.
Yeah.
Part of that is because these are very powerful beings, and so humans have a lust for power. And so there's an exchange of loyalty for power that you get.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So that's part of it, right? So God's like, okay, you guys, you bad angels, you guys want to rule. You don't want to follow me. You want to have people to rule because they're jealous of Yahweh. Sure, I got a bunch of people here that would love to follow you.
Wow.
And then he goes to the humans and he says, okay, you guys don't want to follow me because it sucks following me. Great, you guys go and you can have the Prince of Persia and the Prince of Greece, and let's see how that works out. And they lived in misery.
Right.
So that whole line where it says the Creator designated as his regent is true and untrue. We were the original regents. Satan basically, and then we basically handed it off to him. Mm-hmm. And he basically ruled the world.
Right.
So that's why when Jesus is, being tempted in the wilderness, and Satan says, if you'll bow down and worship me, I will give you all these nations.
Right.
And Jesus doesn't go, you liar.
You don't have those nations.
You don't have those. He did have them at the time. I mean, Jesus won them back. But and that was one of the main reasons Jesus came to the earth. It wasn't just so that you could be saved personally from your sin. From a Christian perspective, Jesus came back to the earth to take the nations back. Right. From Satan, who back for us because we forfeited it to the devil.
Why couldn't Jesus have? Why couldn't he have given them all to Jesus? Oh, because they didn't want to be ruled at that point.
And there was a big bill.
They were to figure out how to wait in.
There was the whole sin thing.
Yeah.
That had to be accounted for. What's interesting in the term "I deny Jesus Christ," the deceiver. Christ is not Jesus' last name.
Does it mean the Messiah?
Yeah. Mashiach, Christos in Greek. But Christ isn't Jesus' last name.
I think a lot of people think that.
Yeah, it's like Mr. and Mrs. Christ, that Mary and Joseph, it's Mary and Joseph Christ. That wasn't Jesus' last name. Christos is a title. Yeah. And it goes all the way back to Genesis 3:15, where after Satan deceives Eve, God promises that a seed was coming who is going to crush the head of the serpent, crush Satan. And so, as the Old Testament progresses, the seed gets identified by this term Mashiach, which means basically to Mashiach. It means to anoint. And so when you were installing a king, you would anoint him. Mm-hmm. And that was the ceremony that would say, okay, that guy's the king. And the king at the time was basically the general of your army. He was a warrior. Mm-hmm. He was a warrior and a ruler. Mm-hmm. So you had this term, the anointed one, or the Messiah, the one who is anointed. Because you were looking for a king who was a warrior who was going to come to defeat the serpent in Genesis. Yep. So when you say, I deny Jesus, the anointed one, you're saying that he was the guy. Well, then if he was the guy that was prophesied, then he's not a deceiver. You see what I'm saying?
I disagree with you. I think even if you say that out, I deny Jesus the Messiah, the deceiver.
Well, what was the deception?
That he said he was the Messiah and he wasn't. That's what they could be thinking. Why are you making that face?
Well, the Pharisees would never call him Jesus Christ. They would say Jesus the false Christ.
Well, yeah.
Or Jesus the guy who claimed he was a Christ.
Yeah.
They would never call him Jesus Christ.
These people didn't know this.
Because the minute you call him Jesus Christ, you're saying that he was right. Yeah. So what the hell are you talking about?
No, I see what you're saying.
I mean, I'm not, like, I'm sure they don't know,
Yeah, I think that they just didn't know that. They probably just,
I understand,
Jesus Christ,
but the devil should have informed them. The devil should have informed them.
I think you're right at that.
You should have known that.
You shouldn't laugh at them.
I'm not laughing at them. I'm laughing at I'm laughing at the devil. No, I just think it's weird. I think it's ironic.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
But this right here, this is kind of like this is a quote that kind of gets used in exorcism ceremonies.
Are you serious?
I deny Satan, the deceiver, and I abjure Satanism and all of his works and his effects. I'm just saying this by memory, but that's. You remember when we were dealing with that girl? Mm-hmm. I had her say that.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I deny Satan.
Oh, yeah, I do remember
all
that.
his works and effects.
Yeah.
Yeah, all his agents, his works, and his effects. I think I said. So it was very, very close to that.
I just got goosebumps when you said that. Yeah.
Well, it worked.
Yeah.
Actually, that's not. When we started,
there was multiple things.
There were other things that yeah. So
there was lots of things.
So.
Were part of it.
Yeah. Yeah. So that right there. That shows a lot of familiarity with Christianity to some degree. Mm-hmm. To be able to flip that like that, because that's an exorcism formula.
Yeah.
And now being possessed of a human body in this world, I swear to give my full allegiance to its lawful master to worship him, our Lord Satan and no other.
Well, I can see how this is an oath. I mean,
right.
It's very meticulous to say exactly.
Well, again, these are all things that Christians historically have said about Jesus. So it's just
that's the other thing. It's weird because, like, if I say, I swear my full allegiance to Jesus Christ, that I'm going to worship him and I'm going to serve him. He's my master.
And no other
people
our
think
Lord.
That's awful.
Right.
Oh, and he demands that of you, blah, blah, blah. Like, what the hell do you think the devil demands of these people?
Right.
You think he's okay with them not worshiping and not following what he wants? And
right. No, I agree.
But somehow, I don't know.
And I know inevitably we're going to get comments where, oh, you're taking this too seriously, blah, blah, blah. Look, I'm not saying that this guy who wrote this believes this stuff. I don't know what the guy believes. What I am saying is there are people who believe this stuff.
Yeah.
And there are people who recognize that there is a dark intelligence in the world. So I get it. This particular person may or may not believe it, and this particular band may or may not be actual theistic Satanists. That's all I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. But it is a good launching pad to have the discussion because he's talking about it. And let's just get that out of the way.
Yep. Nobody's gonna remember you just
Doesn't
said
matter.
That,
it's still gonna get there, guaranteed. I'm gonna screenshot it and send it to y'all. I guarantee you. Dirk does this almost every time. He goes, "Are people even listening to what you're saying?"
No.
No, Dirk, they're not listening. But yeah, it is very interesting to me that, this type of devotion, if we were to have this as Christian,
we do have this devotion as Christians.
Yeah.
And you get people saying stuff, they think it's awful.
You're religious zealots!
Yeah.
Yeah, if we did a metal song and said, Jesus is the rightful Lord of this world and blah, blah, blah.
All shall bow and worship
All
him.
shall bow and worship, which you shall. Every knee will bow, every tongue will confess.
We can
Jesus
make a
Christ
badass
to the glory of God
death
the Father.
metal song.
Yeah, we need to come up with a badass death metal song where, like, you will bow.
Yeah.
Dun, 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 dun.
Every knee.
Every knee. Richard. Okay. Yeah.
All right.
Well, of course, now, so we were saying earlier in the Old Testament that God gave them over, but Satan is no longer the lawful master of the world.
Right, which is why you can say, you have no power here, blah, blah, blah.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
It's Psalm chapter 2 where, the Messiah says, where God says, you hear a conversation between God the Father and God the Son, where God says, ask of me and I'll give you the nations as your inheritance, the ends of the earth for your possession.
Right.
And you will break them with a rod of iron and crush them into powder. Mm-hmm. Now therefore be wise, O kings, be warned, O rulers of the earth. Serve the Lord with fear, rejoice with trembling. Kiss the Son lest he be angry, and you perish in the way. His wrath is quickly kindled. Blessed are all who take refuge in him. So he's no longer the ruler of the earth because Jesus came, lived a perfect life, overcame the devil in the wilderness, overcame the devil in the Garden of Gethsemane, overcame the devil on the tree. And so because of Jesus had 3 major tests in his life where he went face to face with the devil and overcame him. And because of that, he won back for us the world. Mm-hmm. Because now he he basically supplanted the devil, and that's why in John chapter 12, when he knows he's about to be crucified and he sees a bunch of non-Jews coming to see him, he says, now is the judgment of the world. Now shall the ruler of the world be cast out. And it was interesting because the judgment of the world, a lot of commentators look at it like the world is going to be judged, like, "Urgh." But another commentator is in the minority view, but I agree with it. When he says judgment of the world, it's like a wrestling match. And then you have to judge who wins. And so that's what Jesus is saying, is that he's about to enter into this final conflict. And God the Father is going to judge, okay, who's the winner?
Right.
And whoever wins gets the world, and whoever loses gets cast out.
Yeah.
So Jesus is saying, I'm about to end, now is the judgment of this world, now the rule of this world will be cast out. And so I love that perspective, obviously. So that's why when the devil offered Jesus, hey, if you go down and worship me, I'll give you the world. He's like, nah, my guy.
I'll get it my own way.
I'm going to take it from you in 3 years. So he's no longer the rightful.
Wait, Vin, I have a question, Vin. So, you know how it says, like, I don't know, like Gabriel or like one of the angels, like
Jabril,
when he was talking to Satan, he didn't say, and he basically said, the Lord rebuke you.
Yeah.
So why is Gabriel saying the Lord rebuke you, but we, like when we've done exorcism, we've been like, basically, get out of here. You have no power here. You're, all that stuff. You know what I mean? Like, how come we're talking to, like, the devil or the demons or whatever like that Gabriel is...
Because Jesus became one of us.
So, my thought was it because, remember he said, like, all power in heaven and earth has been given to me?
All authority
and then he gives that to us?
Right. All authority in heaven and earth has been given to me, and Jesus became one of us.
Yeah.
So God became one of us. And now the whole class of humanity has that authority now. So
because Jesus became one of us, does that make us more powerful than where we were before in the garden?
Absolutely. For sure. But that was always God's plan, was to exalt humans to the highest possible level without us being actually eternally divine beings.
It's interesting because we were like high in the garden, and then we fell, and he's like, oh, okay, I got a better plan. Well, I mean, he already had a plan. I'm making it sound like
I get your anthropomorphizing.
Yeah, and then he's like, it's gonna be better than this. You know what I mean? Like most of the times when you mess something up, you're like, okay, now you're gonna deal with the consequences. It's gonna be worse. But then he flips it so that way it's actually better. We're actually in a higher position than before.
Well, those demonic, powerful angels who were ruling over all those nations, they all got cast out when Jesus rose from the dead. So you got a whole bunch of empty seats up there, and so, as far as powerful ruling, entities, and so that's what we occupy. That's what it means ultimately to be called the Son of God, because
when it says we're seated at the right hand of the Father.
Right. So there you are. That's what a lot of people don't realize, is that, like, in the Bible, God's plan is to exalt human beings to being almost semi-divine. Lewis said that if you were to see a glorified person, you would be tempted to worship them because they're going to be insane. So there you are. Open wide the gates of hell by the names of Satan, Leviathan, Belial, Lucifer.
Like, crazy.
Well, that I'm like, oh, that's where Behemoth got that from. Because Behemoth just goes and name drops all these like intertestamental names for the devil. Leviathan was interesting because Leviathan was kind of like this like watery chaos beast that in the not only the Old Testament literature but in the pagan literature of the Canaanite pagan literature.
Job says that God created him to play with him, right?
That's in the Psalms. But in the Canaanite pagan literature, the gods would do battle with Leviathan because he was a bad man. And he was just this crazy, uncontrollable, Baal would go and do jihad with Leviathan. Yeah, Leviathan's in Job too, for sure. So it's just this very powerful beast that creates all this chaos. I swear to give my mind,
my body, my soul, unreservedly to the furtherance of our Lord Satan, where Satan designed.
Yeah, that's pretty terrible. But,
again, that's the scripture, though.
Romans 12, right? Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind.
No, that's not the one I was thinking.
That's the one I was thinking when I saw that.
Worship the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, and mind.
Mind and strength, yeah.
So that's kind of...
Love the Lord your God.
Yeah. Did I say worship?
Yeah.
That's because worship to me is love.
Worship is the expression of your love.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah, it's interesting. Like, yeah, it's just strange to me. People's perspective on the God of the Bible. He's terrible. Blah blah blah. It's like the greatest command is love. Those are the rules. Love me and love your neighbor.
Right.
You terrible, nasty God, you! How dare you! Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. That's Aleister Crowley. But I want to be fair because I don't think that that's the actual quote. I think it's like, do what thou wilt and harm none shall be the whole of the law. And then there was another one where it actually says something about love, like do what thou wilt in love or something shall be the whole of the law or something like that.
And where's that?
That's Aleister Crowley stuff.
What's that?
He's the big Satanist guy. I remember when we did O Father of Satan, O Son, like, I was talking about that and they said, actually, this is...
But
so I want to make sure that we're representing it correctly.
What did you say? Do what thou wilt...
Do what thou wilt and harm none shall be the whole of the law, I think is what it...
Because whenever people talk about the Satanic Bible or anything like that, everybody always explains it like... I mean, I've never read it, but they always explain it like, it's all about you, do what you want, do what's good for you. It doesn't sound like it's worried about anybody else.
It's about self-determination. Well, like, one of their... They've got, like, a list of commandments. One of them is, like, you can't hurt children. The other one is, like, don't initiate any sexual contact unless you see the mating signal or whatever.
That's good. What? That's good.
Yeah, it's a very, very beautiful way to talk about human sexuality. But I guess, if you think you're an animal, go for it.
Well, I think that it's important. There's a lot of people that don't know that.
Well,
they want to fuck like animals, and so they do.
Well, no.
Instead of he's saying wait for the mating thing.
Well,
like,
that's still fucking like an animal.
No, because...
Yeah, because animals, that's what they call it.
No. It's saying wait for the mating call. So they're saying, have you ever seen like two like birds, like one of them put out their feathers and the other one? And so those are animals. That means it's showing that it's consensual, babe. That two people want to do it. What's the difference between that and fucking like animals? Because there are some animals where...
So 50 girls...
Stop, babe, listen to me. There's some animals, when you watch them, like, they'll all of a sudden, they'll just like take and overpower this female whatever. Like, it doesn't always look like there's like, oh hey, like sometimes like with the birds, like they'll do this like dancey thing, and I thought that's what it was saying. Like,
if a dude runs through 50 girls in a week, I'll still say he's an animal, and it's disgusting. That's still animalistic to me.
Yeah.
So the mating signal thing doesn't preclude animalistic behavior as regards sexuality. That's what I was saying.
Oh.
It does preclude sexual assault, I guess, to a degree. Because it still leaves it open though, because a woman could give the quote mating signal and then change her.
She was wearing a short skirt, so
that's very right. Is that the mating signal? I think that's still dangerous. But I think the point though, I think if you look beyond the letter of the law and look to the spirit of the law, what they're trying to do is say no sexual assault, even from a Satanistic perspective. Right. And they're trying to be explicit about that. Don't hurt kids is another one. Right, like I heard the story where like this kid went missing or something like that, and then the local satanic chapter like deployed a whole bunch of people to look for him and shit.
Yeah, because they were probably going to be top on the list where people were like, them sacrifice.
No, babe, that's only your. That's like your. I'm sorry, backwoods whatever.
Are you serious?
Yeah, nobody would blame the local Satanists for that at all. At all. It wouldn't even cross anybody's mind.
You guys, put stuff in the comments.
That's complete mythology. They do not go and sacrifice kids. Like, what is wrong with you? They have it in their charter. You can't hurt kids, period.
Yeah, I know. That's why I was surprised to hear that.
You're insane. So the reason I'm hanging out on that where it says, do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law is because I want to represent them. Like, they're not saying do whatever you want. There's constrictions to that. Mm-hmm. And I think that's important to say. Like, I obviously have criticisms of Satan. We just talked about it. But I also want to say, hey, they're trying to create a moral, an ethical kind of way of life. And a lot of it we would agree with if we could look at it from the minutia. You know what I mean? All right, as it was in the beginning, is now, or shall be a world without it. Stop it. We came up with that. I know it's a beautiful, beautiful line. Come up with your own shit. Christianity's come up with some badass phrases, though, I have to say. We've come up with some really, really badass phrases, and this is one of them.
Yeah, but it's like
World
you said
Without
one
End,
time
I
that
love that. Allahu Akbar.
there's
It's such
something
a
about
beautiful
like
phrase.
when you sit and you dwell on the grandeur of God, then it inevitably makes your
Can't help
mind
it.
more
Can't help it.
advanced and artistic and
Yeah. Yeah.
You said it better than I did. But.
Well, people are going to go, oh, Christians with advanced minds, ha, ha, ha. Half these people, I'm not going to say that. I'll say this, half the people saying that about how dumb Christians are, I want them to read Jonathan Edwards' treatise on the Trinity and tell me if you can even understand the first paragraph.
Yeah.
Because I guarantee that you can. Okay? We've produced some of the most insanely brilliant minds of the last 2,000 years. But musicianship was insane. Lyrics are very, very provocative. I love the solo. I love the atmosphere of the song. I obviously disagree with the message, but I'm separating that from how I'm looking at the song.
Yeah, of course.
What do you give the song?
You're never gonna believe it. I'm giving it a 9.
You're giving this song a 9.
Yeah. I thought that they communicated what they were trying to communicate very well. I liked the beginning. I liked the instruments. I liked some of the vocals, the high stuff. I'm docking it a point for the high stuff. But other than that, I think that this song really communicated what they wanted to. And I think that they did well at it.
Some of the devil songs that I've heard, they're just edgy, and it's like
some of them sound really cheesy.
They're cheesy.
Yeah, this one didn't.
These guys are on a different level, musicianship wise.
Yeah,
they're just like, it's just like they understand how to use atmosphere and things like that.
Yeah.
But they didn't completely depend on it. The music was just insane. It was really, really good. Obviously, I disagree with what they were saying.
Of course, so do I.
But the fact that we had such a deep conversation indicates that they wrote some thoughtful lyrics, and you got to give them credit for that. So for me, it's a 9.2. I wish the production would have been a little bit more defined as far as hearing what the lyrics were saying. If we didn't have the lyric video or we didn't have the lyrics in front of us, we would have been completely lost.
Completely, yeah.
So I wish the production was a little bit more defined. I can definitely see conceptually how this was like the forerunner to black metal. But this is still kind of metal to me. Like this is still like, heavy, crazy solo. It wasn't like what we see for, Mayhem or whatever. But conceptually, I definitely see it.
Well,
so,
there. I'm surprised you went up that high.
It's a 9.2. These
I thought
guys
we were
are
gonna have a
badass.
huge gap.
No. And of course, 9 is 6 upside down. So there you are. You're still getting us.
You weren't supposed to tell them what I was thinking.
Technically.
No, I'm kidding. I wasn't thinking that at all.
Good song though. Vin out.
Sori out.
Gone.
Whoops. I don't know what this is.
Don't worship the devil. Come to our side. We have cookies and eternal life.